annual village garage sale. So far, I have 70 families signed up. That's a record so far. And the deadline isn't until the end of tomorrow. And I'm sure there are always some stragglers, so I expect to have a really spectacular turnout. And also an announcement for the seniors. Our Great Age Club is having someone come and talk about how to appeal your unappealing property tax at our next meeting, which will be next Tuesday, August 4th at 2 o'clock. So if you or anyone in your household is 62 or better, you are invited to come to our Great Age Club meeting here at the village at 2 o'clock next Tuesday.
Georgianne, one question I want to ask that individual presenter is how the quadrennial reassessment might affect appeals. If the whole county is being reassessed, will there really be anything to appeal? I don't know.
Probably. I mean, because individually, if you don't agree with what they have their house says, you can still do it regardless.
But if it's done on comparables, if everything is being redone, it's just a thought, I'm not certain.
It's the government and they're helping you.
Can I ask a question? Is it just for 62-year-olds? I mean, doesn't it apply to all kinds of people?
Oh, yeah, right. And we've talked about possibly having someone talk at a village meeting, but right now we're just doing this for the seniors. But oh, sure, it applies to everyone. Yes, it applies to everyone. It's just that the information applies to everyone. We're just inviting him to our.
Georgianne, if you videotape that meeting, I'd be more than happy to take the time and throw it up on YouTube for you, on our village YouTube channel, so everybody would have access to the information.
Okay. Are you
I'm not over 62.
We'll make an exception.
Okay. Let me check my calendar out.
Okay.
Are there any other standing committee announcements?
Well,
okay. All right. All right, without further ado, I would like to give the floor to our guest, Tricia Steele. We have had I don't know if everybody realized what a wonderful opportunity this is. This movie has been traveling the country and shown in a variety of places, but to have the opportunity to have this movie here shown for free, we are very lucky. And we just stumbled across this opportunity, and Tricia fortunately lives nearby in Highland Lake, and so Tricia, I'm going to give you the floor and let you talk about Greenfire.
Thank you. Thank you all for inviting me to come, especially Mary Social. I joined the Aldo Leopold Foundation's leadership, led at the leadership program about a year ago, and they prepared a movie about Aldo Leopold, his life, the development and the evolution of his ideas, and how they have affected our ideas about conservation. Now, the movie was prepared by 3 organizations: the U.S. Forest Service, whose mission it is to sustain the health, diversity, and productivity of its forests and grasslands to meet the needs of the present and future generations. The Center for Humans and Nature. This is a nonprofit organization, and their mission is to explore and promote human responsibilities in relation to the whole community of life. And of course, the Aldo Leopold Foundation. I don't know how many of you have been up by Baraboo and been to the Aldo Leopold Foundation. That is where he has his little farm, which we will discuss. The mission there is to foster the development of a land ethic through the legacy of Aldo Leopold. Now, values shape our actions, but the relationship between our values and our actions is extremely layered and complex, even for a single individual. This movie is not meant to be persuasive in terms of convincing you to come up to some particular mark of perspective. It needs to persuade you to think about and talk about the values that support your actions, especially in terms of how you treat the land. For example, he talks about the evolution of ideas and how it relates to values. You might think about your family. Would you feel it would be appropriate to use the term commodity to refer to your family? Would you feel comfortable that there's values to that if you decided if that was appropriate or not appropriate? You might think of your family as a resource, especially through those college years. But are they a renewable resource? Does that feel appropriate? Well, Aldo Leopold's film helps you think about land and the community that it represents in terms of your values. And that is the point of this movie. Aldo Leopold refers to a thinking community as one where people confront conflicting values and reflect on their priorities. And this is how ethics develop. So with that, we'll start the movie, and if you'd like, I will apologize to your YouTube audience that I cannot have it shown on YouTube.
Yes,
It's
so
available to everyone.
for our audience out in the YouTube world, we'll be fading out due to copyright, and we'll be back when the movie is ended. Thank you. I greatly enjoyed it, and I think I'm going to have to do some more reading myself on Aldo Leopold. And I hope everybody will leave here tonight and think about your individual land ethic as we move forward the next few years and where that plays its role in Hainesville and our balance. So, Tricia, if I could just thank you so much again for taking your time. I don't know if there's any closing comment you wanted to make. You're welcome to the mic.
You know, I'll reiterate what I started with. And
Can you just step to the mic
sure.
so I can make sure everybody hears you?
If I can just take a minute, I'd like to share a small story that I really, it touched me just like this does, but a couple artists were presenting how to use clay to a group of children. And one of the artists was trying to encourage the kids and help them understand where they are in their process, because they were a little frustrated. But after the hour, they were starting to get something that they were not so frustrated. And he said, and this gentleman was from Kenya, he said, you know, there's a story about an old woman, and in Kenya, she lived in a little house, and they didn't have running water. She had to go get water at a well. And so every morning, she would get the stick on her shoulders, and she'd put the two glass baskets on either side, the two pots, and she'd go down to the well, and she'd fill the pots up from the well, and then she'd trudge back slowly. And one of them leaked, and it would just dribble along. Well, she used this water for eating and for all sorts of utilitarian purposes, for washing and all the things that we use water for. And the one pot said to the other pot, "What good are you? You dribble and leak. You show up at home. You have not anything to show for yourself. Not prepared something that you have nothing left for us to do here in the house." And the little woman heard this conversation. And she says, "Now, wait just a moment. Let's think about our journey here." And she reminded them, as they go down to the well, how all the neighbors are so happy to see them coming. And as they walk back, the dribbly dribbling water, it's dripping water, and on that side, there's a beauty. There's flowers and birds and butterflies and melons growing all the way back up. And so sometimes what we think about, what is utilitarian? What is it that we want to accomplish? What do we have something for? We think about the most obvious, what we're using right at the moment. But sometimes we need to widen our horizon and look at the bigger picture and how does it all fit in together. And that's what I would encourage you to do, because you have some beautiful areas that you have developed here. And an unincorporated area is where I come from, but I do come over and appreciate how beautiful what you have. Your pot vegetable has made a beautiful area for all of us to appreciate. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tricia. Yes?
Where do you show this film elsewhere?
Well, what I did is I went through the training, and I am volunteering my time to show it as many times as I can show. I have a license to show it this year, and I report back and tell them, what I've shown, how many people, and that's basically their goal is to have it shown as many times as possible in public sessions like this, just to encourage people to start talking together. It was first shown in February of this last year. It was provided nationally, I think, in March. It will be shown in small groups like this all year long. I'm one of many people who are volunteering to show it across the country. And it will be shown on PBS, I believe, in 2012.
So if we wanted to view this movie again, do we contact you?
Yes,
Okay.
I'd be glad to, Charlie.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions for Tricia? All right, Tricia, we thank you so kindly.
You're very welcome.
Okay, at this time I'll ask for a motion for adjournment.
So, second.
All in favor? Aye.